All right, welcome back out. Here we are again. Again, we're looking at the textbook, Education and Wasted Time, 7 Critical Elements that you need in order to limit the amount of years and the amount of dollars, I should say the amount of time or years you're spending and also the dollars that you're spending, just becoming more efficient, okay? So far, we've talked about you. We've looked at you. Who are you? In order to, and we've said this before, in order to move forward, you have to have specific definitions. You also have to have specific goals, working goals, like a working thesis on a paper. You don't start at the finish. You start where you best can start with the paper, and then as the paper is being built or as you're writing, and many a writer has said it's not in the first draft. It's not the draft, it's the writing process. It's the redrafting, right? The going over and over again, the refining that really determines and specifies the thesis. Thesis here for you is your goal or goals, okay? It's up to you how you want to work it. There's no one way of doing it. There's no one definition. There's no one thing that everybody uses across the board equally or equally well or in any way, shape, or form. So that's the first thing. You have to define you. We talked about the Briggs-Myers typology test. You want to be able to know who you are. Are you basically an intuitive person? Are you an emotional person? Are you an intellectual person? Are you a verbal person? Are you a introspective person? Are you a physical person? Do you work best with your hands? Are you mechanical, engineer type? Or do you work best in your mind, solving problems, more abstract ideas and concepts, okay? And knowing that is going to help you get more in tune with where you're going to go in your life, your career, and elsewhere, actually, right? Really knowing yourself and your basic innate, born with them, talents, gifts, abilities, inclinations, so forth and so on, okay? So we want to define us. We want to define a goal or goals. We also probably want to define where we've been and where we are. And that which I'm talking about there is education. What did you get in high school? Primary, we're not so much concerned about that. That's shapes and colors and patterns and things like that, right? We're thinking more along the lines of less elemental or elementary education, where you're learning reading, writing, arithmetic, science, math, all that good stuff. But there's also the intangibles. As I said before, you want to look at your high school's mission statement. Every high school, college even, has a mission statement. What is it that we're trying to do here? Unfortunately, most people don't ever see or rarely see that mission statement. It's thrown out there. I think it's thrown out there more for political purposes and also to make the parents feel comfortable or something, rather than a practical look at an application to the students and what they should end up with, skills, knowledge, attitudes that they should probably end up with, right? Do you want somebody who's good in the community? You want somebody who's good local, at state level, national level, international level? Now, because the world has grown, we probably want some type of graduate at the high school level, at least beginning to understand the international flavor of today's world, right? With everything online, we're constantly stepping over boundaries, political boundaries, and going into other countries and cultures and languages and blah, blah, blah. So you got to know that, right? That's probably a part of many high school and college mission statements. But there's all these other intangible things that you allegedly acquired, right? I would go look at those. I would go look at those mission statements, see what you picked up, see what you didn't pick up, see if you picked up anything at all, see if you were aware at all that these were the things that you were acquiring as you attended and passed through those 4 years of high school, right? I don't know. I didn't know. I still don't know my high school mission statement, to be honest. To be honest, I looked at my college mission statement. No, actually, I didn't. I've looked at other high school mission statements. I've taught some I guess I'm not too concerned about myself, to be honest. And that's what this chapter is about. The giving of getting for optimum achievement. Speaking of that, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, I've seen other high school mission statements. I've taught some English classes, freshman college classes at local high schools in LA, and I've looked at their mission statement. Sometimes they have it on the board or on the wall, and I've just out of curiosity to see how all this mission statement stuff is flying, right? I've asked students, do you know what your mission statement is? And I've been in classrooms where the mission statement is on the wall in a pretty good size poster, right? Time and time again, none of the students even knew what the one item on the list was, right? And it's right there on the wall. Goes to show you, nobody's paying attention. Do you think kids are concerned about that? No. They want to get good grades. They want to get the boyfriend or the girlfriend. They want to get on the cheerleading squad or the basketball team or whatever, right? They want to be socially. They don't want to be socially inept. They want to be socially enabled or socially able, right? And they want to be successful, of course, academically. And they're not worrying about the specifics, highfalutin philosophical aspects or elements of their education. That's usually what's on the mission statement list. Okay, so anyways, that's what we looked at. We also, look at your education, look at your high school mission statement, look at your college mission statement if you're in college or have graduated from college recently. That stuff. That's what we've been looking at. We also looked at the 14 immovable elements of success, I guess you could basically say. And these are basic, generic, or general things that you need to have in place in order to have a modicum of success. Almost at any level, almost at any position, almost any way, anywhere, anytime, anyhow, right? You've got to be able to focus. You've got to be able to work well with others, right? You've got to be able to make your way financially. You've got to savings. It says savings in there, but I go along with the concept of investment, right? Because interest rates today are so meager. If you're trying to make money by saving, you're not going anywhere. You're going nowhere fast, as they say, right? So anyways, there's all that 14 immovable laws of success, more or less, right? And then they basically come from Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill's Law of Success in 16 Lessons, which was written close to 100 years ago, that I use, that anybody who is worth their salt use. And what he did was he said, there must be some things that successful people have in common. So he went to very successful people in various industries. He went to the manufacturing industry. He went to the political environment. He went to academia and so forth, right? And he's talking to presidents, former presidents of the United States, Henry Ford, and I think Woodrow Wilson was another one he spoke to. This was written back in the early 1900s, right? So anyways, enough of that. So this one is looking at the giving of getting. So now that you've got all this stuff, kind of the foundation taken care of, right? Now what am I going to do? And probably many of you, at least starting out when you're in school or college and maybe in the first year or so of working, you're not thinking about giving too much. You're thinking about getting. I got to get an education. I got to get my values up, my skills up, right? You're basically a human resource. That's what you are, You're a human resource. You're a solution to a problem. I need somebody to answer phones. I need somebody to write programs. I need somebody to operate on patients, right? You are the solution to a problem. Whatever that employer has is a problem, right? I need a solution to my problem. Hopefully, I can hire somebody who will help me with my problem, right? And the reason why you're in school, primary, sure, secondary, but probably more so, more specifically, more thoroughly, comprehensively, is higher education, right? So you're a solution. There's a problem. You're a solution to a problem. I said that 3 times, but it bears repeating, right? I've said to my students before, Have I repeated myself? Have I repeated myself? Have I repeated myself? You know, and I repeat it intentionally, right? Like Martin Luther King, I have a dream. He wasn't repeating that mindlessly. He was repeating it intentionally in his speech. I have a dream. And at first you think, well, this is kind of repetitive, but no, it really drives home the point. Again, goes back to the theme or the thesis, right? And it drives that thesis home. It starts to go beyond the intellectual to the emotional. You start to feel it. And that's how you really learn stuff. Feel it. Feel the pain, you know. Because you can sit in an intellectual vacuum and read about other people's trials and tribulations and problems and struggles, and unless you go through it yourself, you're not going to learn. You're not going to learn anything, really, to the greatest degree, to the core of your being, right? And that's how you really grow and progress. So you want to, once you get through all the initial stages, the first 3 chapters in your first maybe year or so of work, now you're starting to understand I got to do something beyond just focus on me, take. I got to start giving back. And that's generally what being an employee is, right? A lot of people think I'm going to go in with my resume and my cover letter and my 4 degrees and my fancy clothes and my red tie, my power tie, and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to really, set these people afire. They're going to be impressed with me. You do that, you're heading in backwards. You're walking in backwards. You want to walk in forwards, right? They get a problem. All they're looking for is for you to help them, right? You're not there to shine or to be an all-star. You can go do that on the stage, star of stage and screen. You can go do that elsewhere in Hollywood. But most employers are looking for help, and they don't want you to be full of yourself. There was I worked with a dean over at one of the community colleges in Los Angeles, and she was looking to hire somebody full-time faculty for, I forgot what department. She worked in several. She was dean of several departments. That's what we've done lately, in the last 5-10 years at least or so. Everything is pared down, right? Especially even after COVID, got pared down even more, right? People working fewer hours and doing more work in the process. So she was hiring people, and she talked about this one person who came in. Great credentials, great education background, probably overeducated, but that wasn't a problem, she said. Great presentation skills, looked like he'd be a great teacher, but she says there's no way I would hire him full-time. He would probably be a cancer on our campus or in our department or in the department he was being put into, right? She said he was too full of himself, right? She couldn't see him working well with others, and that's one of another 14 immovable talents or skills or abilities that you want to acquire from the previous chapter 3. That's something to keep in mind. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be a lilting flower, a little humble. Yes, sir. I'll take a slap. I'll take 10 more slaps. That hurt. That was painful. Can I have more? Hit me again one more time. That's where the Britney philosophy comes in. You don't want to do that. You want to play it mature, right? You definitely want to be assertive when need be, but most of the time you're looking to just fit in. You're looking to be a part of the team, right? That type of thing. Just like in a family, it's that type of skill or attitude, right? People don't talk too much about attitudes when they're talking about employment, but that's a very important attitude, right? To not think that you're the end all and the cure all and you got all the answers, right? Henry Ford, the owner of Ford manufacturing, Ford cars, he said the reason why I'm so successful, I've been so successful, is because I know I don't know, and I hire a lot of people who do know, and then I ask them and I go to them, right? So he was a good organizer, collector of talents, I guess, right? And he understood his limitations, what he could and couldn't do, and that's huge. That's a big one for you too to think about, right? So the giving of getting for optimum achievement. So you really want to think about, how can I make the manufacturing process for this company quicker? How can I make the answering of phones more efficient? The chance that people will call back and be more responsive to the people who the first line that they encounter. on the phones there as people are calling in to contact and talk to people within an organization, right? So in most cases, you know, you're almost always thinking, and that's what I thought. I thought, how can I help my students? What things can I do? And I'm not thinking, this isn't stuff that I did it on my own time. I wasn't getting paid for it. It was the extra stuff. Remember I said, don't go 100%. Maybe you want to think about going 500, 1,000%. Go ballistic, go crazy, go nuts, right? So I said, how can I really help my students? What do my students really need to know? What do most students need to know in most times, in most situations? The practical stuff, right? That's why I started looking at finance, economics, banking, trade, taxation. That's why I started looking at the law of the land, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, Martin Luther King's letter from Birmingham jail. All talks about the law of the land, the very water in which we swim. We swim within political and economic waters all the time, every day, everywhere, all the time. So that's stuff I need to know, and then I can probably, hopefully, pass it on to my students. That's what I did for 25 years, right? How about getting along in life? How about some theology? How about some philosophy? You know, to help people in that regard, to help myself, and then I'll help others, right? Math. Why is math? I had a question. Why is math and science, why are those the all-stars of school? You don't see parents going nuts, oh, you got an A in gym class or in economics or in history. Wow, great. You know, I got all A's in science and math. Oh, Johnny, we love you, right? Why is math and science the all-stars of academia, basically? You know, it's because science and math drives the economies. Half of all money made in the United States, I think the last number I saw was 7 trillion. It's probably higher, or maybe a little higher than that now, but a lot of money, about half, right, comes from scientific innovation, right? The camera I'm using, the phones we use, the computers we use, right, comes from scientific innovation. Scientific innovation drives the economies, okay? So you got to really know how to give. So I had to learn those things in order to help people, to really help my students and my clients and whoever else wanted to listen to me. And believe me, there are a lot of people like my wife sometimes and my kids who don't want to listen to me. What can I do to help them? And that's the base, that's the brunt of chapter 4, really, to simplify it, okay? And there's a section in here, sacrifice, an essential element to your growth and all you influence, right? And sacrifice is giving, right? In order for me to give, or anyone to give, you have to sacrifice. I sacrificed a lot of time. I could have probably been out doing other things, maybe hanging out and playing sports or hanging out with my friends and partying, rather than reading those books and studying about those things. And they weren't immediately going to give me any money back. You know, I wasn't going to make any money off of all that stuff that I read, all those hundreds of books I've read over the years, right? But I knew at my core being, in my soul, if you will, I guess, you know, deep inside there, wherever that is, whatever you want to label it, right? I knew this is what I had to do. And that's huge too. Become a guru of you. Figure out what you need to do, right? And this chapter is very short. That's about it, all right? And I think I covered it pretty well, very succinctly and to the point. So until next time we meet, have a good day, take care, and be good to people. Take care.